Do you remember the novel Smog we read before? It is a fictional story, but I have been experiencing a real version in Beijing, the place I live in now. Beijing is one of the most crowded cities around the world. The urban population reaches 21 million. Beijing experienced rapid population growth in the past 50 years. To support this huge population, Beijing had to provide central heating for people to get through the cold winter. Also, the city had to undertake significant numbers of vehicles for transportation. What's more, to build up more residential buildings and office buildings, the factories for manufacturing the steels must be set up near the downtown to minimize the transportation cost. So, the central heating system needs to burn amount of coals every day, and factories need to release tons of toxic fumes. Also, the vehicles also contribute large part of the emission too. All these activities burning the fossil fuel and coal could generate nitrates, sulfates, and dust particles to the air. And when these air pollutants meet with the droplet in the air, boom, the smog produced. Now we all know the difference between the fog or smog. The fog is made up of crystal of ice and water drop. On the contrary, the smog is made up of air pollutant from the emission of burning fuel. When I was a kid, I even don't know the word smog. I was studying in a boarding primary school, and teachers asked us to train in the morning. In the morning, we could not see the rising bright sun, but only a dull gray sky. We run on the playground, but someone started coughing for no reason. I sigh and say, "Oh, just another foggy day." Well, when the smog became more and more significant in Beijing, this word became familiar to us and even appeared in the final exam. The turning point happened in 2013. The government published the air quality data and set up colored alarm system related to the PM 2.5. So at that time, the PM 2.5 finally entered in every Chinese life. The full name of PM 2.5 is particulate matter 2.5. They are fine inhalable particles with diameter of 2.5 micrometer or smaller. This particle could enter in our lungs, and even blood, so they would cause irreversible lung damage. And because they can reflect the light, they could also reduce the visibility and cause traffic accident. When the PM 2.5 reached over 250, we stopped doing exercise in the outside. And when the PM 2.5 over 500, it is red alert. All the school, workplace, and even some public place are forced to close. And students like us have to go home. So we call this special period in winter the smog vacation. At that time, we finally realized in every winter, the gray sky is not caused by fog, but smog. And if you oversee Beijing from the skyscraper, you can see the smog rolling in the atmosphere. Below smog is a dusky world, and above the smog is a clear sky. Despite everyone admits the extent of smog at that time, not everyone believed that we need to protect ourselves from inhaling smog. Some relatives say that we will adapt to the smog eventually, and some people think the smog is harmless because they feel nothing when they inhale the air. And some of my friends say, wearing a mask made me feel worse, so I don't want to wear masks anymore. Apparently, people around me still unsure about the toxicity of the smog, and so was I. I barely wear masks except for the red alarm day. So I got punishment. In the winter, I always got cough, and my cold and fever were hardly recovered in the short time. So I started to wear masks in every winter. According to the data, the lung cancer is the most common cancer in Beijing. 1 in 5 cancer patients is lung cancer. So this data shows that the smog do have impact on our health, and it is in a negative way. So the government started to harness the air pollution in Beijing. The first action they take is upgrading the exhaust standard from Euro 2 to Euro 3. They publish multiple automobile emission policy. At that time, my parents' car were checked up again and stick a new tag. Without sticking this new tag, we would be fine if we're driving this car on the road. What's more, every day Beijing would prohibit part of automobile with specific license plate number driving on the road. Another action they have taken is slashing the industrial emission. They ask factories to reduce the emission, and some factories were shut down because they released too much pollutant to the air, just like Shougang factories. The steel giant Shougang Group, which has been long blamed as the biggest industrial polluter in Beijing, was shut down in order to reduce emission. The main factories now moved to the Tangshan, and this city just near the Beijing. Shougang is not the only case. More and more factories are moving out Beijing now. This huge slash on factories makes significant progress on reducing the pollution in Beijing. However, it is fair to other cities which have to take the immigration of factories, just like Tangshan. Apparently, it is not fair, and this issue involved with the eco-racism here. The government takes the Beijing, the capital of China, as a priority. However, they contemporarily neglect other pollutions from elsewhere cities. After nearly 20 years' effort, now Beijing finally gets back the blue sky again. However, it is not the end of the stories. Now, the PM2.5 concentration in Beijing still fails to meet national air quality standards, and heavy pollution episodes still occur during autumn and winter occasionally because of the central heating. Also, the immigration of the high polluted factories arrests up new pollution to the surrounding cities. To completely solve the air pollution in Beijing or in the other cities, we still have a long way to go. And here is the works cited. Thanks for listening.